You spent $500 on a Bugout bag, $300 on a tactical flashlight that has more modes than your TV remote, another $200 on freeze-dried food that tastes like regret mixed with cardboard. And when the power goes out for a week, your family is cold, hungry, and sitting in the dark because you forgot that none of that gear works without batteries, and the batteries died on day 2. Meanwhile, the guy down the street walked into Dollar Tree, spent under $20, and built a survival system that covers fire, water, light, medical, and security. 15 items, none of them more than $1.75. And the physics works exactly the same as your $500 gear. Not similar, the same. Because fire doesn't care about brand names, bacteria don't check price tags, and the chemistry in a $1.25 tube of superglue is identical to the $40 medical adhesive they use in the emergency room. I'm Max, and today, on Outfox Apocalypse, we are going to walk through 15 items from Dollar Tree that preppers buy quietly, in bulk, while everyone else walks past them to grab paper plates. These are not cute little hacks. These are field-tested, physics-backed tools that work in a blackout, a hurricane, a supply chain collapse, or a grid-down scenario that lasts weeks. By the end of this video, you will never look at Dollar Tree the same way again. Some of these will make you nod. A few will genuinely surprise you, and at least 2 of them, I promise, will make you grab your phone and send this video to someone you care about. Because that's what this list does. It changes the way you see cheap. Let's go. Number 1. Playing cards. A 2-deck pack for $1.25. And I'm putting this first because everybody underestimates it, and everybody is wrong. When Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance was crushed by Antarctic ice in 1915, stranding 28 men for nearly 2 years, one of the first items he ordered saved from the wreckage was a deck of playing cards. The US military includes mini card decks in MRE accessory packs, and that's not a random decision. That's combat psychology research. Without mental stimulation, the human brain begins to degrade in as little as 2 weeks. Studies on Antarctic winter overcruise show that structured leisure activities significantly reduce depression and interpersonal conflict. Your brain needs a game the way your body needs water. It just takes longer to die without one. Cards calm kids during a crisis. They settle arguments, draw for it is faster and fairer than fighting. They're a universal language with strangers when you don't share a spoken one. And my personal favorite survival card game? What was that noise? You play it every night. Nobody wins. Number 2. Baby wipes. Fisher Price. 72 count. Full body hygiene without a single drop of water. In a grid-down scenario, clean water is too valuable to waste on bathing. 1 baby wipe, use strategically. Face, neck, hands, armpits, groin, in that order. Keeps 1 person functional for a day. 72 wipes is a week of cleanliness for 1 person. Ask any long-haul trucker. Ask anyone who's been homeless. They'll tell you baby wipes are the single most important hygiene item when the taps stop running. But that's not all they do. The surfactant in baby wipes dissolves urushiol. That's the oil that causes poison ivy rash. Wipe your skin within 15 minutes of contact, and you can prevent the reaction entirely. They clean carbon buildup off firearms in the field when you don't have a proper kit. They work as a cooling compress for heat exhaustion. And here's a trick that most people miss. When baby wipes dry out, don't throw them away. Dried baby wipes contain residual propylene glycol. They catch a spark and burn for 20 to 30 seconds. A dried out pack of baby wipes is a free fire starting kit that you almost put in the trash. Number 3. Apple cider vinegar. 32 ounces for $1.25. And this is where we start crossing into territory that your doctor might not tell you about. Acetic acid, that's what vinegar is, creates a pH of about 2.5. Most pathogenic bacteria need a pH above 4.6 to survive. Vinegar drops well below that line. Hospital burn units have used diluted acetic acid solutions for decades to treat Pseudomonas aeruginosa, one of the deadliest wound pathogens, and one that resists most antibiotics. A 2015 study in the Journal of Wound Care confirmed it. Diluted 1-to-1 with clean water, apple cider vinegar becomes a wound irrigator that kills bacteria. Your expensive first aid kit can't touch, but you can also wash dishes with it. Spray, wipe, done. No water needed. Build a fly trap in 30 seconds. Vinegar plus 1 drop of dish soap in a bowl. The soap breaks the surface tension. Flies land and drown. Use it as a sore throat gargle. Use it for heartburn relief when you've got no pills. Vinegar never expires because its extreme acidity prevents any microbial growth. It's self-preserving. A bottle of this outlives you. Now, so far we've covered morale, hygiene, and antiseptic. Familiar territory. Makes sense. But this is where the list starts to shift, because the next few items are the ones where people pause the video and say, wait, really? Number 4. Honey. 6 ounces for $1.25. And I need to slow down here because this one matters. The Lancet, one of the most respected medical journals on the planet, published a paper with the title, Honey, a Biologic Wound Dressing. Here's what it says. Every antibiotic we've ever made eventually fails. Bacteria mutate. They develop resistance. It's inevitable. Honey attacks bacteria through 6 mechanisms simultaneously. Osmotic pressure that dehydrates them. Acidity that dissolves their membranes, continuous hydrogen peroxide production through the enzyme glucose oxidase, methyl glyoxal that disrupts cell division, B-defensin, 1 protein, and membrane depolarization. 6 simultaneous attacks. For a bacterium to develop resistance, it would need to mutate against all 6 at once. It has never been observed. The FDA approved honey-based wound dressings as a medical device in 2007. Clinical trials show Honey Heals burns 6 days faster than standard hospital silver sulfadiazine cream. The Romans preserved meat in honey for months without refrigeration because the sugar concentration is so high that bacteria can't survive in it. The WHO recommends honey for cough suppression. Multiple studies show it's as effective as dextromethorphan, which is the active ingredient in Robitussin. An archaeologist found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still edible. $1.25, 6 ounces, and it never expires. If you remember one thing from this video, make it this one. Send it to someone. Number 5. Reading glasses. $1.50 for a pair of plus 2.0 readers. And yes, the obvious reason matters. If your only pair of glasses breaks in a collapse, you can't read medicine dosages. You can't read a map. You can't identify a plant. For the 20-plus demographic over 40 who need readers, losing your glasses is functionally the same as losing your eyes. Stash backup pairs everywhere. Your bag, your car, your nightstand. But here's what nobody thinks about. A convex lens with a power of plus 2 or higher has a focal length of about 20 inches. Hold that lens between the sun and a piece of dry tinder. All the solar energy hitting that lens, about 1.25 watts through even a small lens, gets concentrated into a pinpoint smaller than a millimeter. The temperature at that focal point exceeds 500 degrees Celsius. That's well above the ignition point of paper, dry grass, and char cloth. Your reading glasses are a solar fire starter that never runs out of fuel, and you had no idea. Number 6. Vaseline. Brand name, $1.25. Take a cotton ball, smear it with Vaseline, pull it apart slightly to expose fibers, hit it with a spark. It burns for 5 to 8 minutes. Waterproof, windproof, in any weather. 1 jar of Vaseline and 1 bag of cotton balls gives you 80 fire starters. Petroleum jelly has a heat of combustion of 46 megajoules per kilogram, nearly identical to diesel fuel. That's the physics. But Vaseline also prevents frostbite on exposed skin, thick layer on nose, ears, cheeks, creates an insulating barrier against wind. It prevents rust on knife blades and gun actions. Thin coat, moisture can't reach the metal. It stops chafing on long evacuation walks when you're carrying weight you're not used to. And here's one for the homesteaders. Coat fresh eggs in a thin layer of Vaseline. It seals the 7,000 to 17,000 pores in the eggshell, preventing oxygen from entering. Studies show petroleum jelly-coated eggs stay fresh at room temperature for 6 to 9 months. Before refrigeration existed, this was standard practice. Number 7. Jute twine. 256 feet, 78 meters, for $1.25. Let that number sink in. Jute is almost pure cellulose, 58 to 63%, and cellulose ignites at approximately 230 degrees Celsius. That's lower than paper. Take 6 inches of jute twine, fray it into a fluffy bird's nest bundle, and it catches a spark from a ferro rod instantly. It's the gold standard natural tinder in every survival manual on Earth. But you also get 78 meters of cordage for shelter building, clotheslines, snares, and tripwires. The capillary action in jute fibers draws liquid fuel upward, which means a twisted jute cord in a tin of cooking oil or rendered fat becomes an improvised oil lamp wick that burns for hours. 256 feet, for $1.25. Let me pause here and lay out what we've got so far. Playing cards for your brain. Baby wipes for hygiene without water. Vinegar for antiseptic and cleaning. Honey for wound treatment that outperforms hospital creams. Reading glasses that start fires. Vaseline for 80 waterproof fire starters. Jute twine, 78 meters of cordage and tinder, and we're not even halfway through. Pause this video and screenshot this list. You're going to want it. Number 8. Triple antibiotic ointment. $1.25 for a tube of Natureplex triple antibiotic. 3 antibiotics in 1. Bacitracin kills gram-positive bacteria. Neomycin kills gram-negative. Polymyxin. B destroys gram-negative cell membranes. Together, they cover virtually every common skin pathogen. Before antibiotics existed, wound infection was the #1 killer in every war. A simple cut that gets infected becomes cellulitis in 2 days. Cellulitis becomes sepsis in 5. Sepsis kills in 7. This $1.25 tube is the wall between a scrape and a funeral when there's no doctor within 100 miles. Use it on burns, cuts, blisters, insect bites. It also works as a small mechanism lubricant and anti-chafe ointment on long walks. If you're building a survival kit, this goes in before the knife does. Number 9. Sterno canned fuel. Quick flame, 2-hour burn. $1.75, one of only 3 items on this list above $1.25. And this is the one that changes the math on indoor cooking. Here's the chemistry. Sterno is ethanol gel. When ethanol burns, the reaction is simple. C2H5OH plus 3. O2 yields 2. CO2 plus 3. H2O. Carbon dioxide and water. That's it. No carbon monoxide. None. This means you can cook indoors in a sealed room during a blizzard, a hurricane, or a security lockdown without the carbon monoxide poisoning that kills 430 Americans a year from using charcoal and propane stoves indoors during power outages. Fry an egg. Boil water. Heat a can of soup. And Sterno stores essentially forever. Someone in the comments once said they found cans from the 1970s in their grandmother's house. Still lit, still burned clean. Look for it in the catering section of Dollar Tree, not the survival aisle. There isn't a survival aisle. That's kind of the point. Now, some of you are going to disagree with me on the next few. That's fine. That's what the comments are for. But I need you to hear the physics before you judge. Number 10. Pantyhose. $1.25. And before you scroll past, the U.S. Army Natick Research Lab conducted a study on blister prevention. They're finding wearing a thin nylon liner under your socks reduces blister incidence by up to 50%. The nylon creates a friction layer that slides against the sock instead of against your skin. In a bug-out scenario where you're walking 20 miles with a heavy pack, blisters aren't annoying, they're mission-ending. Stretch pantyhose on a forked stick and you've got a fishing net for minnows and crawdads. Pull a leg over your head and tuck it into your collar. Instant insect head, net in mosquito country. Use it as a pre-filter for water. The denier weave catches particles down to 1/10 of a millimeter before you boil or treat. Fill a leg with rocks, you now have an improvised impact tool with centrifugal force doing the work. And in a barter economy, after a collapse, personal items like these become scarce fast. Don't think about what it is, think about what it does. Number 11. Mouthwash, 16.9 ounces. Here's something most people don't know. Listerine was invented in 1879 as a surgical antiseptic. Named after Joseph Lister, the father of antiseptic surgery. The 4 active compounds, thymol, eucalyptal, menthol, and methyl salicylate, are the same compounds found in surgical-grade antiseptics. Thymol disrupts bacterial cell membranes. Eucalyptol penetrates biofilms. Menthol activates cold receptors in your nerves, tricking them into feeling cold, which is why it numbs pain and itch. At 21 to 27% alcohol, Listerine denatures bacterial proteins on contact. Soak a cotton ball in Listerine and press it onto a tick. The combination of alcohol and essential oils irritates the tick into backing out. Use it on athlete's foot. Dab it on bug bites. In a grid-down scenario with no pharmacy, this 16-ounce bottle is a broad-spectrum antiseptic, antifungal, and pain reliever. For $1.25. Number 12. Vapor Rub, $1.25. And this one comes from people who deal with the worst. EMTs, crime scene investigators, medical examiners. When you're dealing with decomposition, when the power has been out for 2 weeks and there are things in the neighborhood you can't unsee, you rub Vapor Rub under your nose. The menthol and eucalyptus override the smell. First responders have used this trick for over a century. But it's also a mosquito repellent. Studies show eucalyptus oil is comparable to low-concentration DEET. It opens airways during respiratory illness without any medication. It relieves muscle pain after days of physical labor your body wasn't ready for. And the petroleum jelly base means a fingertip-sized smear on a cotton ball gives you a 3 to 5 minute sustained flame as a fire starter. Camphor has a heat of combustion that actually enhances flammability. It's a medicine cabinet and a fire kit in one jar. We're in the final 3 now, and I put these last because they're the ones that make people stare at the screen and reconsider what Dollar Tree can do. Number 13. Florist wire. 100 feet of 26 gauge wire for $1.75. Look in the craft section, not the hardware section. 26 gauge is thin enough to form a snare loop for small game, rabbit, squirrel. Wire has a critical advantage over cordage for snares. The animal can't chew through it, and the wire's springiness maintains the loop shape. But here's where it gets tactical. String florist wire at ankle height between 2 trees. Attach it to tin cans filled with pebbles. You now have a perimeter alarm system that works with no electricity, no batteries, no Wi-Fi, no subscription, and no grid. It survives an EMP. It survives a hurricane, and it tells you someone is coming at 3 in the morning. Use the same wire for gear repair, improvised fish hooks, or, and this is a big one, a long wire antenna. 100 feet of conductive wire dramatically improves AM and shortwave radio reception. In a grid-down scenario, radio might be the only source of emergency information. No AA weather alerts, emergency broadcast signals, ham radio traffic. $1.75 spool of florist wire could be the difference between hearing an evacuation warning and missing it. Number 14. Flea collar, $1.25. And this is the one that makes people look at me sideways until I explain the chemistry. The active ingredient in most flea collars is permethrin, a synthetic pyrethroid that mimics the natural insecticide found in chrysanthemum flowers. It disrupts sodium channels in insect nervous systems, causing paralysis and death on contact. Insects don't even need to bite, they just need to touch it. Here's the military connection. The US Army treats combat uniforms with permethrin. It's called the ACU permethrin factory treatment. Soldiers wear permethrin-treated clothing in every theater of operations on Earth. A Dollar Tree flea collar contains months of the same chemistry. Cut it into strips. Put the strips in your pockets, your hat brim, your boot tops. You now have 30 days of human insect repellent. Wrap a piece around each ankle before a hike. Ticks and chiggers won't cross it. Toss a strip in your clothing storage bins, moths and silverfish are done. This is the same science the military spends significant money per uniform to apply. You're getting it for $1.25 from the pet aisle. Caveat: permethrin is lethal to cats. If you have cats, keep it away from them. On human skin, it breaks down rapidly with a half-life of about 20 minutes, which is why it's applied to clothing, not skin. Number 15. Pregnancy tests. $1.25. 99% accurate. And I saved this for last because it's the item that nobody puts on a survival list and everybody should. When hospitals close and pharmacies empty, and the supply chain is a memory, knowledge becomes the most valuable currency there is. A woman who needs to know if she's pregnant will trade almost anything for that answer. Because that answer changes every decision: medical, nutritional, mobility, resource allocation, everything. This tiny plastic stick becomes priceless. It's the #1 barter item in a collapse scenario: small, light, indefinite shelf life, and it answers a question that cannot wait. And here's something else: HCG, the hormone this test detects, is also produced by certain testicular tumors. A positive pregnancy test in a man can indicate testicular cancer. This went viral on Reddit when a guy took one as a joke and was subsequently diagnosed. It's documented in medical literature. For $1.25, you're holding a diagnostic tool that works for half the population and a cancer screening tool that works for the other half. This is the only item on this list that can change your life in 2 minutes. In a good way or a bad way, depending on your situation. Now, let me give you the math. 15 items. Total cost, under $20. That's less than one. Tactical, fire starter from the internet. That's less than lunch at most drive-thrus. And for that $20, you have hygiene, fire starting, wound treatment, infection prevention, cordage, cooking fuel, insect protection, water filtration, perimeter security, a diagnostic tool, and barter currency. That's not a shopping list, that's a survival system. And here's the part that makes this video different from the ones where somebody reads you a list and moves on. Every single item I just showed you works because of physics, not opinions, not brand loyalty, not some guy in a YouTube ad telling you his $60 ferro rod is better than the $3 one. The same chemical reaction, the same thermodynamics, the same biology, starting at $1.25. Dollar stores exist in the UK, in Canada, in Australia, in dozens of countries. The name on the sign changes. The physics doesn't. If you made it this far and you found even one thing on this list you didn't know, hit subscribe. I don't sell gear, I don't do sponsorships. I give you physics, data, and the kind of information that lets you walk past the $500 kits and build your own for $20. The pack shares knowledge. That's how we survive. Everything in this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Survival uses described are based on documented science, published studies, and field-tested practices. Some uses described are off-label. Flea collars are not FDA approved for human use. Honey wound treatment should not replace professional medical care when available, and snare wire usage is illegal in most jurisdictions under normal circumstances. Always consult with local emergency services and medical professionals. Laws and regulations vary by state and country. Stay safe. Max out.